I am here with Sam Perkins, who was in the Basement Playhouse production of Dog Sees God, and we are here at the Pendleton Arts Center, where the Playhouse is located. And Sam played the character of Schroeder, which really is Beethoven in this production. But for those that may not be familiar with the play's premise, can you give us a little synopsis, a summary of what it's about?
Yeah, basically, Dog Sees God, it was written by Burt V. Royal, and it is basically the Charlie Brown characters after they've grown up and they're in high school. They're seniors, I imagine, probably. And each one of them kind of just takes on this new life that we would never expect. Like, we see Linus, who is the character of Van. He becomes like the class stoner, you know, just goofy. He's all out there. Pigpen is a bully now. He's very OCD, very clean, doesn't like to be called Pigpen. My character of Schroeder is Beethoven. He's the openly homosexual student at school. He's bullied really badly. CB, who was Charlie Brown, he just kind of gets dealing with life, you know, after the death of his dog and stuff, and then he ends up falling in love with Beethoven and discovers that he is gay after all and all this stuff. So it's crazy. It's a wild trip, but it's a really great interpretation of reality, I think, because that's just the way that high school is, you know. So we have all those different walks of life and stuff like that.
I've heard it described as a contemporary parody of the Peanuts characters.
Mm-hmm.
The show opened last Thursday and ran Friday and Saturday to good crowds. And what did you feel the response was from the audience in those 3 nights?
Well, the audience was very in tune. Every single night they were very engaged. I mean, when things that would happen that were shocking or whatever on stage, people would gasp. Like, when things were funny, we'd get good laughs. The audience was really in tune to what was happening. And then afterwards, I mean, people were crying. They were coming up. They were hugging us. They were telling us, you know, some people were moved. Some people told us that, you know, we had a few people that do theater in this community that said, this is what real theater looks like, and I want to be a part of this. So we were really proud to be able to bring that to people also. And it was our first show, too, here, and it was their inaugural show at the Basement Playhouse, so that was just great.
Well, you've told us a summary of the play, but what do you feel like, just your personal interpretation, that the message of the play is? What is it that is trying to be communicated to the audience?
Well, I think it really pushes, obviously, a lot with homosexuality is a huge thing that stands out in the show, and I think it's just really trying to push acceptance, you know? And it's like Beethoven was talking about. CB says at one point, oh, maybe if you didn't act so gay, and Beethoven's like, well, what? How does one act gay, you know? Like, who are you to tell me that this is how I'm acting? You know, like, what defines that? Like, this is just stereotypes. So I think it was just a way to push stereotypes away and just show that we're just all normal. I mean, there was nothing different about Beethoven than anyone else in that school. He was just, you know, it was just a different fact that was different about him. And it was obviously an accident bullying a lot too. I mean, Beethoven kills himself because he has no friends. And then all those students, you know, get up in that scene and they're like, oh, if he would have called me or if he would have done this. But then you see how heinous they are to him previously in the show. And so I think that kind of shows too, like, the words can hurt. You know, people say sticks and stones, but that's garbage. You know, words are very painful. And I mean, I've experienced that firsthand. So I mean, it was good for me to play Beethoven and kind of get that message out there for people.
I saw the show on Thursday on opening night, and the premise to me seemed to be that CB was dealing with grief over the death of Snoopy. Yeah. And so it opens with Snoopy's funeral, as it were, and then many of the early scenes demonstrate CB's desire for comfort or for someone to offer him some kind of solace or consolation during this period of loss. And it seems like none of his friends are there for him. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I think they just think that he's just being silly. You know, they're making fun of him. There's that whole scene he asks those 2 girls about, what do you think happens to dogs when they die? And they're like, oh, doggy heaven or maggot food. You know, they're just not being very compassionate. I think they're just dismissing it as a joke, and he's really trying to make these life discoveries.
Yeah, so I went home that night and I was really trying to digest and process the action of the play, and there was a verse in the Psalms that kept coming to mind from Psalm 69. It says that I looked for some to take pity, but there was none, and for comforters, but I found none. And it seemed to be that was a part of CB's experience, that each friend that he encountered really didn't have anything of substance to offer him or to give him, and that really has been working on me since then. And I was just thinking about if CB had a faith to turn to, for instance, if you think that would have been a help to him or made a difference, or where he possibly could have found that comfort or compassion in a faith setting.
Well, I think he does have faith to an extent, because he does talk about God. I mean, there's that whole scene between Beethoven and CB where he's talking about what do you think happens to dogs, and Beethoven says when they go to heaven, he says, well, wouldn't God be mad? So I think he does have a belief to an extent. He's probably just not maybe like hand in hand with God like we should be, but I think that he's just confused. He doesn't really understand God. Like he said, my dog killed a living creature, wouldn't God be mad? And then Beethoven has that whole thing about how he was sick and blah blah blah. But so I don't know. I think maybe he does have faith. He's just not really. He's not like devoted 100%.
Yeah, and I just often thought throughout the play and since then, I wonder how things might have been different if he had received some comfort early on that just wasn't there for him, and how that may have impacted him. And as far as Beethoven as well, it just seemed like that again he was kind of on the outside looking in of a lot of the action of the play. And, maybe that would have had a difference.
Possibly.
So the end of the play, though, how are we to interpret that? When CB receives the letter from the pen pal, how do you think that we're supposed to take that?
I don't know if you got it or not, because I personally didn't get the message until we started that it says your pen pal CS, which is Charles Schultz or whatever. And I think that last monologue is so neat. Because all of us are coming out and we're saying these little bits that are somewhat related to our characters that we've played, and it's just really nice. Like all the words and the things that it talks about, the boy that was tortured, and the place of happiness, and where there was no sadness and all that stuff. And I just thought it was a really beautiful message. And I don't know. I think it was just kind of a message to the audience to just open your mind and just love each other. Just accept each other, because this is crazy.
Well, Sam, we're just about out of time today, but I wondered if I could put you on the spot and if you could share maybe your own personal faith experience with us today.
Oh, like my religion, I guess?
Sure.
Okay, well, I consider myself to be a Christian. I believe in God firmly. I'm a very God-fearing person. I don't go to church on a regular basis. Well, I don't know if I should say that on there, but obviously being openly gay or whatever is difficult for a lot of people, because there's so many people that think you can't be religious and be gay because gays go to hell or whatever. But that's my own issue with God. That's nobody else's business. And I feel like my relationship with God is strong in terms of the way I believe and that He loves me, and I think that everyone is entitled to their own beliefs. If you think that you've got to go to church and if you've got to have your nose in the Bible to do this all the time to make it, then that's awesome. But I say my prayers and I know where I stand with Him, so I think that's all that matters to me.
All right. Well, I do want to congratulate you on a successful run in Dog Sees God, and we're anxious about the future for you and other productions that you'll be in and where life's going to take you. So thanks for taking some time with us today.
No problem. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.